Hi, I'm Elizabeth Hendrickson. I work with technology leaders and teams. Today I want to talk about the difference between nice and kind. Once upon a time, I found myself in a meeting with a group of customers. We hadn't met previously. They didn't know me and I didn't know them. My job in the meeting was to represent R&D for the product area that I worked on. However, the discussion in the meeting turned to organizational change, transformation, and how difficult it is. The company I worked for had Be Kind as one of our core values. I mentioned this. The guy to my left gave me a weird look. In our discussion so far, I could tell that he was really smart. He was probably accustomed to being the smartest person in the room. I'd gotten the sense that he did not have a lot of patience for people who didn't get it. I turned to look at him. Yes? Nothing. He shook his head. I continued what I'd been saying about kindness. He continued to give me a weird look. He might have even snorted. I turned back to him again. I honestly don't remember what I said to him or what he said to me. He might have said something to me about needing to hold people accountable or not coddling them, or he might have just snorted louder. However he responded in the moment, I realized that we had two entirely different mental models about kindness. He thought I was talking about being nice. Nice is sweeping things under the carpet to keep the peace. Nice is exchanging pleasantries, being polite, avoiding hard conversations that might upset someone. Being nice is fine in general, but when you're in an organization making difficult changes, being nice doesn't cut it. When you're in a leadership position, especially in the middle of a big change, you can't afford to be nice. People are going to be upset, and any attempt you make to prevent them from being upset is also going to interfere with making changes. On the other hand, being kind means recognizing and honoring the humanity in people, treating them with dignity and respect, having empathy for their situation, listening to their concerns, choosing your words carefully so that you are honest and clear, but also caring. The fellow to my left equated being kind with being weak. No, I explained. It takes an enormous amount of strength to be kind. It means having the emotional intelligence and self-awareness to hold your tongue and check your words before you say something designed to cut. It means treating people with respect because you're people, even when you don't actually respect them. I saw that last one land for him, and I understood. When I was younger, I didn't know how to be kind. I said things that, when I remember them now, made me cringe. I blamed others when they didn't get it, instead of figuring out how I could express myself better. I snapped at people who made the same mistake more than once. I held people to a high standard and didn't have good things to say about those who didn't measure up. Somewhere in my archives, I have an old performance review that says, "She does not suffer fools gladly." That was not a compliment. It means I was dismissive of those who I didn't think were as capable as me. It means that I didn't treat people with kindness. As a leader, you can be kind and still make hard decisions. On another occasion, I was interviewing candidates. This was pre-COVID, back when interviews were typically conducted in person, in an office. 3 one-hour interviews had been scheduled, but the first interviewer came out of the interview room shaking his head. "I don't know how she made it past the phone screen," he said. The other interviewer wasn't sure what to do. I was supposed to be the last one, but I volunteered to take the second slot. If I disagreed with the first interviewer, we would continue the process. If I agreed with him, I'd cut it short. So I went into the room, sat down, and introduced myself. She seemed nervous. Her voice was unsteady, and her face showed a range of expressions. We began talking. I asked her some softball questions, and I realized almost immediately that the first interviewer was right. She shouldn't be here. We were both wasting our time. So what to do? I could have just stopped the interview and dismissed her, but that felt unnecessarily mean. I could have continued the interview to the end and then dismissed her, but that was the nice solution. And it was not kind. She was in agony in front of me. I couldn't torture her any further. So I asked her, "Hey, how are you feeling?" "Okay," her voice quavered. I continued. I get the sense that this position isn't really in your wheelhouse. I said it. I didn't make it a question, but I said it as gently as I possibly could. No, not really, she admitted. I don't think this is going to work. Do you? No. Her shoulders, which had been tensely holding up near her ears, relaxed about an inch, and her voice steadied. I asked her, "Should we stop? What do you think?" She nodded. "How about if I walk you out?" She gave me a tentative smile as she gathered her things. We walked to the elevator bank. I pushed the button. She looked at me, and I kid you not, she hugged me. I had just dismissed her early from an interview that was an absolute train wreck. She'd failed. But she hugged me. She was so relieved. That's the power of kindness. And it is not easy. Honestly, I'm not nice. I try very, very hard to be kind. And these days I think I mostly succeed. If you're a leader, practice kindness. Have the hard conversations, make the hard decisions, hold people accountable for doing their jobs, but always, always, always remember that you have no idea what hardships that other person might be going through. So treat everyone you meet as a fellow human who deserves your care and respect. Let them have their dignity. To the extent that you can create safety for them, do so, and connect with them as a person. Don't be nice, but do be kind. Thank you so much for listening. Till next time.